Now this is a warning to all those people who pray to money and forget all about the Almighty. Hear this. Never seen God but seen money, so they put their trust in a... Welcome to Color Me Poetry. I'm Danny Queen. Welcome to another edition of Color Me Poetry, brand new season. And I'd like to start off by welcoming my guests. Today we're going to talk about reggae music and the beauty of reggae music and the influence of reggae music. I'd like to welcome Carl Malcolm and Newborn. It's a brand new group who has a brand new wonderful album. And we're going to talk about reggae music. And I'd like to welcome Carl Malcolm and Brother Paul Robinson. Welcome, brothers.
Thank you.
Let's jump right into it and talk about reggae music, how you got started, and talk about your new CD and talk about Newborn.
I was talking about how I got started. It's hard to say because music was always a part of my life from childhood days. So I grew up playing music, being around musicians, and that influenced my whole life. It's hard to say where I got started. But I remember I started writing poetry from in elementary days.
So it's kind of always been there for you.
It's always been there for me.
And how important was it to see other people that you grew up around, playing music, as a little child? Because that's very important, isn't it?
It's important.
The influence.
But I was just watching them and learning from them, hang around them a lot because I realized that's what I wanted, that's what I was doing. I didn't realize that's what I really wanted to do with my life, but it was always there. It always confronted me. I always had to be a part of it.
And the poetry has been an integral part of your...
Yeah, that's where it started from.
What kind of poetry did you write?
Anything that's interesting, anything that's interesting. Anything
rhythmic?
That people say, rhythmic. Then after I started humming them, putting lines to them, and then I taught myself to play the guitar so I could play them.
That's interesting. You told me that you write from the guitar. Many artists don't. Most artists write from the piano. Why is it that you write from the guitar? Is it easier for you?
It's easier for me.
Okay.
Why? I don't know. It just comes easy because the guitar was the one I started playing first. And up to now, I'm still not very versatile on the guitar. I can't play as well as go on the stage and play, but I can play for myself.
So is there a lot of difference between playing on the stage and playing in the studio?
Yes, because I couldn't concentrate in singing and playing at the same time.
Okay. In the studio?
In the studio, I can do it because I can always scratch and go back over.
Oh, okay. But on stage, you just jam.
No, if you make one mistake.
But that energy you get when you're on stage jamming, that's not the same kind of energy you get in the studio.
No.
How's it different?
See, in the studio, I'm voicing. I can't move too much. The microphones make noise, and so you have to keep yourself at a certain position to voice it. You feel the energy within, but it doesn't come out as strong as if you're on stage. On stage, you have the freedom to move up and down and talk to the people and get involved. In studio, is like reading a book. You have to read every line. You know what I'm saying?
But in the studio, some people are better in the studio than they are on stage, and vice versa. Some people are better on stage than they are in the studio.
That's true.
Because some people feel it differently. Some people more creative in the studio. Some people more creative on stage. You find that's true?
That's true. I've seen artists who have the same problem I have. They have to be standing still in the studio and voicing, and they put them on the stage to perform it live. They're like something hot.
Yeah, it's like that. Because with a lot of artists, particularly, you go see them, and the record's great, big hit. And when you go to see them, like, wait a minute, something ain't up here. This ain't the same group. I guess that's people's ability to perform live. And that's very different.
Some people are live artists. Just live artists. Some people, just like I mentioned, you buy a record and it sounds like a hot number, but then when you see the artist, you don't feel like even buying a record because it didn't motivate you
enough to go out and buy.
Yeah.
And then there are those who are as good in the studio as they are on stage.
And they can't do anything on stage. There are singers who are very good with the records.
But I'm saying there are some people who are just as good on stage as they are in studio.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
And that's always a great help.
That's always a great help.
Yeah. Do you find yourself sometimes creating while you're in the studio?
Well, I create every 5 minutes. I create. I'm creating now.
As we sit here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the group.
Positive Vibration.
Yes.
Positive Vibration was formed by myself in 1981 after touring through England with some previous hit records I had, and was with a major company there. Things fell through, and I came to live in the States from that time and started working with several different bands, but I wasn't getting what I wanted because you would always get different vibes. So I started forming my own group from that time. And it took me all these years to bring it up to what it is now. So it's been a lot of hard work.
But that chemistry is all, like you said, the vibes are different. But that chemistry, let's talk about that for a minute, because that chemistry that musicians feel coming from one to another, how important is that in performance and also in studio?
It's a hard question. Several parts of this question. Number one, the people who are playing with you, are they there because they love it like how you love it, or are they just there to make some money?
Yeah, and that's the difference.
So it comes right down to our business.
And nowadays, with music, a lot of young people, they're not in it for the creative part and for the beauty. Some of them just in it, well, we getting paid. You know?
They want to be another Shabaranka, another Bob-marley. Everybody wanted, when I started the band thing, everybody wanted to be another hit artist, whosoever is out there at the time.
But it's a lot of work to get to that stage, isn't it?
But people don't want to work for what they want to get, you know what I'm saying? And that was what kept me back a long time, because I could not find anybody who was willing to put out what it took.
For the love of the art.
For the love of the art.
Yeah.
Everybody was into money.
And it must be very frustrating.
It was very frustrating. It don't bother me no more because I know I gotta pay whosoever I gotta pay to do what I have to do now. So I go ahead. I still have people work with me, I've got people work with me in the group will work with me and don't pressure them for money. But on the wide scale of musicians, they want money.
Yes. Even professional musicians,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to mean that they're not professional, but they want, they want money all the time.
Yeah, but once you put the money in front, the professionalism doesn't shine bright because they're always looking around the corner where the dollar is coming from. And when it's time to walk an extra mile, they won't do it unless they know where the money is coming from.
Yeah. So it's good to have people that are dedicated to what you're doing. Let's talk about the history of reggae music and how reggae music has become so very popular and how some of those people that influence you. And Paul, I want to pull you in here too, because you sound like you're being quiet. I ain't going to let you do that.
Listen to what y'all, then I jump in.
The history of reggae music as I know it is back in Jamaica. You had people like Cox and Dad. He was one of the first guys who brought reggae Jamaica. Had little sound system and stuff. And he used to play records that came from America, like blues, way back.
Jazz, a lot of jazz,
A lot of jazz?
Yeah, it was a lot of jazz back then.
And then he started the whole thing with this little sound system. People started asking for records, and he realized that it was a demand to get records, so he started creating it, from his own system.
Bob-marley had a lot of influence on the reggae music.
Yeah, Bob was one of the guys who jumped out the box. A lot of horses were running, but they couldn't make it to the finish line. Bob endured to the end.
There was a lot of other singers before Bob-marley, like Desmond Deck and the Aces.